Hey everyone, it's Jay Bradley, and I just finished my live stream Breathwork and Ho'oponopono meditation, and it was right here back where I teach twice a week. Of course, there was nobody with me, unfortunately, due to what's going on, but I hope you guys will consider joining every single week for what I think is the most life-changing process, breathwork and Ho'oponopono. And I'm also super grateful to Liberate for providing this space and sharing more of this healing work online for you, especially now during this time of quarantine. So if you'd also like to donate to Liberate, please go to liberateyourself.com and let us know what you need. Let us know. We're here for you. I know it's a difficult time, and it's exciting for us to be able to help share the healing, not just for you, but for the world. So hope to see you soon.
Hi, this is Cristina Dam, and this is Liberate the Podcast, where we educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness. Hi there, welcome to another episode of Liberate Deep Cuts. We are going to go into the world of the hollow earth theory. I'm pretty fascinated by it. This is Jera.
Hello.
Jera, say hi.
Hello.
I don't know, Jera. I don't know if you want to start. I want to start, but
You start.
Okay. So I stumbled upon this hollow earth theory not too long ago, okay? And I was going down the rabbit hole of the Anunnaki, okay? And there's an episode, if you guys want to watch, called The Anunnaki that we did Deep Cuts with Jerome. But then I started to get, more fascinated with what other theories are out there. And I came across this theory that is really kind of based a lot in science. It's controversial in many ways, but Mr. Halley from Halley's Comets back in the 1600s came up with this theory that was first introduced in 1600 something that said, based on the study of the gravitational field of Earth and the magnetic fields, that there's more indication scientifically that our Earth would be hollow and not filled with a magnum core. Okay? And so just the other day, I was talking to this beautiful human here, and I was mentioning the hollow earth theory, and you go, hey, I was going into the hollow earth theory. So I wanted to have a podcast and talk about it.
Okay, so I got into hollow earth because Shane Dawson put out this conspiracy theory about flat earth.
Well, you're one of the flat earthers.
That's it's not exactly the fact that I don't think the earth is flat, but I'm open to the idea that we don't know everything, because just like how for so long in my life I thought everything was a certain way, and then as soon as I was like, no, I can make anything happen. Anything I wanted to happen started happening. So I'm like, just a bunch of people told me that the earth is round, you need to believe this. And I'm like, why do they teach us this? It's kind of weird. These facts of why is that necessary for all of us to know? What does it change?
So what's the basic, take me down a little bit of the flat earth theory. Because I've heard a little bit about it, and the basis that I know is if you kind of mapped it over into quantum field and kind of stretched out everything,
So when you see those the map and it always has Antarctica all the way around the edges, that's the flat earth model. The one that's always the flat map is the model, and it's because it's this barrier around us that if that's why we can't go to Antarctica, because past Antarctica there's something else.
Okay, but then how do you get from going from Asia back to the United States? How do you make that trip if the map is flat? Then doesn't the end stop?
That's why there's when you look at the flight patterns, there's all these videos on YouTube of the flight patterns. So when you go from here to here, it should just be an easy straight shot or whatever, but there's always these weird angles and everything that you end up taking. You never actually go the shortest distance to a place. It's always different.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're hiding stuff. Maybe it's to avoid other planes, but I don't know.
See, I don't know that I fully subscribe to us being flat.
That's what I mean. I'm just the idea that why can't we go to Antarctica?
But see, that's where...
And then you find hollow earth. And then you're like, that makes more sense. That makes more sense than then we're in this like weird, what is it, the Truman Show?
Yeah.
That's what, that's kind of what flat Earth is like. You're in that Truman Show sort of thing.
Which we very well could be. I mean, there's all these different weird, what is Stephen Hawking said, and so did Elon Musk and a couple other scientists throughout recent history said that there's more scientific evidence than not that we live in a holographic universe. So Stephen Hawking's one of the most, amazing minds of all time saying that there's more scientific evidence that it's more probable than not. Now, he's not saying it's 100% certain, but that there's more likelihood than not that we live in a holographic universe, which is interesting. Like, so we're all playing like a little computer game.
Yeah. But it does. Everything, like when you start doing life and figuring it out, it is starting to play like a game.
Well, it does play like a game, and if you don't take it too seriously, you can have more fun, do more, achieve more, and explore more. But you got to be open, okay? So maybe you're listening to this and you're saying wackadoos, but what if, just what if, there is more than we don't know, right?
Yes.
And that's what I liked about this, okay? Because there's a lot of weirdness about Antarctica and about the North Pole, both, right? And so like, one biggest thing, nobody is allowed to fly over the North Pole or over the South Pole, okay?
It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird.
Why? And if you've ever seen, there's this thing called the Torus energy field, okay? And the Torus energy field goes like this, okay? So if this is like, and so we have it as people, we have this little like auric field, but the planet has it, and it's called our atmosphere, But it goes like this, and if you ever see the lines, the magnetic curves around it go like this. And then like an orange forms and has the core, and it has a little indent on each side, little circle. Apple, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So, like all of these things in nature, if there's, microcosm, macrocosm, there'd be more of an indication that there's some kind of weird indentation on the North and South Pole. And so, okay, when you stumbled upon the hollow earth theory, what did you find out? Let's have you share a little bit about what it is.
Okay, so then you go into the hollow earth, and it's like supposed to be like paradise. I read one of the things, was like, or a video or something, I can't remember, so many things, but that's where dinosaurs actually live, and that's why how we find their bones, like they weren't up here, they're in there.
Huh.
And I don't know, like that's actually where dinosaurs reside. And that's because like...
Well, I mean, I think maybe there's some like skeletons all over our mountain ranges and stuff too.
Yeah, but like stuff comes like through the dirt.
Interesting. I didn't hear that theory.
I can't remember where that was from that, but I was like, oh wow, that's why we don't have no dinosaurs.
There's a lot of mysteries here. But, like, maybe they do, like, that's okay. So if you go back, okay, this hollow earth theory, okay, going back from Halley Comet person, Mr. Halley, the scientist in the 1600s saying this, and a lot of people believed it for a short period of time, right? And then there was Admiral Byrd. Did you ever read Admiral Byrd's?
That's the, like, biggest.
That's the biggest, okay? So there's this admiral, right? And he... really respected admiral in World War I, World War II. I think got the Congressional Medal of Honor. So very, very respected person. And he was one of the only people to ever fly over the North and South Pole. You want to share a little bit more of his story?
So he goes but he can't tell anything because he's working for the military. That's what you told me.
Yeah.
But then there's like more, like he has all these journals about like talking to like the tall beings, like 15-foot tall people. There's like 100-foot trees down there. And like, he just like has all this stuff of like all the things that are happening in there in his journal, but then couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah. So this is a guy that for every expedition that he ever did, he's one of those like military guys, no pun intended, but that would take a record, a daily log of everything that he did from all of his battles, from all of his different, assignments. And so he would write these little journal logs with the dates on it and then what happened in a very much factual manner, right? That's what you're talking about. And so he, as soon as he flew into Antarctica, and I guess he went into Antarctica. I'm not 100% if he went into the North Pole too, but he flew over the North Pole and then he did another expedition over Antarctica, and that's where he went inside, right? And I could have the two confused. Fact check me on this, but and so he goes inside and he spends a couple weeks in there. And and he's logging this every single time. And when he comes out, he actually did a press conference and mentioned, and there's papers with some of the head, like his test or like his statement to the press saying that he discovered the most significant scientific discovery of all times. And he couldn't wait for people to discover more the world beneath worlds or the world within worlds or something like that. And it's very ambiguous, but it's like clear.
There's footage of that. There's like literal footage of that. It's not just like written in a newspaper. There was like footage of him saying that.
Yeah. So, okay. And it's in the press papers. So you have this person talking about the biggest scientific discovery of all time, super excited about it. I didn't see the footage of it, but the footage of it too. And the way that he describes the world within worlds, or however the wording is, but it's something along those lines, depicting that there is so much more to discover that we had just scratched the surface. And so then he goes into the military, scrutinizes him. He gets through automatic lockdown. He goes through all this, and he's writing his journal log throughout all of this process. And he's reminded that first and foremost, his last journal entry about the subject was his first and foremost, he is a man of the military and he must obey orders. And so he didn't say anything. That is until he died and his son released the journal. So when he passed away, the son published his journal. And the very last journal entry said that he was ordered to keep his mouth shut. Crazy.
His son didn't talk any. Have you found anything that says like his son talking about it? Like, did he talk about it with his dad, or just like nothing?
I think it was like nothing. I think they were like sort of secrecy. Like his dad wasn't supposed to talk about it.
Because how do you not talk to somebody? How do you not talk to somebody? I'm sorry, like weeks. Like I went on a trip for like 5 days the other day and I want to talk to everybody about it. Like how do you go on a trip for weeks and not talk to anybody? And especially if it's like...
Especially if you're seeing so he describes that there's a city called Argatha. And Argatha is like the tropical paradise where I guess like everything is beyond perfect. It's like the perfect temperature, the perfect climate, the perfect conditions in the center of the earth. And, you do have these beautiful trees and jungle and like kind of think of like Avatar-esque like Wonderland.
Oh my God, live in Avatar. Oh my God.
Like, right?
That's my dream.
In there. And like the beings and the animals. And he made an account in one of his journals that there was a woolly mammoth still in there. Like alive and well. And I don't know that he made any accounts on dinosaurs, but it has to be huge down there, right? It has to be just as big as our outside and the inside, right? But he said that there was a part of it that like their center of the earth is kind of like a sun-like energy, but it's duller. So everything's kind of dusk and dawn type of feel all day long, every day. Okay. So it's not like super bright, but it's not super dark.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess, beautiful. So, I mean, imagine, just suspend your suspicion for a moment and think, what if we've had it wrong this whole time and that there's this tropical paradise in the middle of our earth filled with sentient beings that are far more advanced than us, that according to Admiral Byrd have not interfered with us until after we dropped the atomic bomb. And this was right after World War II that he flew in to the center of the earth or whatnot. And it was when our nuclear weapons were, he said, okay, the alien beings or the human-esque beings that are in there said that we can't have you guys messing around like that because you're going to destroy us. And I mean, that's my depiction of it.
Of course. Like, what's going on up there?
Dropping nukes on each other, destroying the planet. We're inside here. You're going to nuke us. You know?
Yeah. Oh.
But could you imagine? I mean, but let's look at the weirdness, okay?
Okay.
There's so many weird things about Antarctica.
Yeah. You can't go there.
I know.
You're not allowed to go there. I'm sorry. When you're not allowed to go there, you know there's something good behind it. It's just like you're not allowed to go backstage at a concert. There's something good back there.
Yeah. You know, there's only like 4,000 people or 6,000 people a year that are allowed to touch foot. Like, that's it. That's how many tourists. So if you're a lucky tourist that get to go down there, like, there's only a few cruise ships or charter boats that go down there, and that's it.
And even
and you only are allowed to go to the certain docking points and stuff that they take you to.
That's what I was going to say, because my tattoo artist I just got tattooed with, he just went to Antarctica and he paid a ton of money, and you're mostly on the boat the whole time, and you go for like very short periods of time when they let you.
Yeah, in your little booties.
So you're not allowed to like wander and explore.
Yeah, and there's been a couple interesting things. Like there was the Atlantis TV from Beverly Hills. They were a film company, and okay, so there's a theory that Antarctica is Atlantis.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so if you melt the ice, just suspend your suspicion for a moment. There's pyramids on Antarctica. There's interesting other things there. There is a river. That's my dog snoring. There is a river that they found in Antarctica that is bigger than the Amazon River. You know, there's more lakes and there's more fresh water on Antarctica than in the rest of the world. Try that on for a second. That's where all of our fresh water is. Okay, so but it's interesting, like the lost city of Atlantis, they talk about how it was a continent that was surrounded by water on all sides, that it was like this rounded like type thing, and that's where that's what it is. If you go back to the map makers back like ages ago, they actually outlined Antarctica in precision and accuracy as if the ice was melted, what the landmass actually looks like, and they actually drew rivers and lakes in there. And so maybe at one point it was a little bit more northern and it wasn't so cold, and then it froze right away.
Yeah.
But yes, so Antarctica, they don't let any people on. So these people, this Atlantis TV, they went down there because they wanted to explore whether it was the lost city of Atlantis and try to find some things.
How did they get permission?
I have no idea, but they paid a lot of money. And they went down there. I think it was like a film crew of almost 20 people. And they went down there. They all disappeared. Nobody's bodies have been found. Everybody disappeared. And the interesting thing is they found the footage. Okay? They found the footage. The military had found the footage or something, and then Atlantis TV, actually, you can look this up, they tried to sue the U.S. government because Antarctica is not owned by the United States. And that footage is theirs. It's a 52-country union ship that has rights to Antarctica, is like this non-controlled body of land that 52 countries are a part of this union of Antarctica. So it's illegal for the United States to own copyright kind of footage or to say that this material belongs to them now. And so Atlantis TV filed a lawsuit, tried to fight them, but never got the footage. Interesting enough, why didn't they hand over the footage? What did they find down there? Right? If they found nothing, if it's just footage of some penguins and stuff like that and snow,
we'd be like, yeah, have it.
Here, have the footage. Learn what happened to your friends. Learn what happened to your crewmates.
Super, it's like kind of like Blair Witchy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they find the footage, but not the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And then, so where did these people go? No, I mean, I get it. It's a huge continent. So it's like, okay, the bodies, or they could be iced over, different things like that.
But everybody, there's always one strong one.
Yeah. And you don't find one body. I mean, you got to have some markings and some ordinance of where they were filming and what areas and regions where they were going to. But you find their equipment and gear, but you don't find the bodies, and you don't find...
Or they killed them.
Yeah, or they went to the center of the earth.
Yeah.
And they decided that it was so good down there that they ain't coming back. I don't know that I'd come back.
I know. You said that, but I'm like, you wouldn't come back to bring somebody back if it really is paradise. You'd just be like, good, too bad.
Well, try it on for a second. If you went back and they said that if you leave, you're not allowed to come back.
Ooh, that's rough.
And what if it was like so good down there that it was like Avatar Land?
But what about, okay. But Avatar Land, oh God, that is my dream. That's like my ultimate dream.
Imagine.
But like, what if you have to come back for your dog?
But what if they said that you can't come back? You leave, you stay here and you live the rest of your life here in utopian society and beautiful weather, pristine, non-polluted, happiness and go lucky, right? I mean, who knows? It could be bad down there, but let's just say it's good, okay? Or you leave and we're going to wipe your memory so you don't tell anybody and you can't come back.
But if they wipe your memory, I don't know. I don't know if I could leave my dog.
I don't know if I could leave my dogs either, but what if it was like, I don't know. Piggy Chewy, close your eyes, ears. Okay, so the other interesting thing, they never found Hitler's body.
Yeah.
And, he was obsessed with Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And theory goes, him and his little minions went down to Antarctica after World War II ended, right? Fact, 1947, U.S. government hears that the Nazi regime could be in Antarctica, okay? They do a mission down to Antarctica, okay? 1947, look it up. I'm not making this shit up. And they take 4,700 troops, military tanks, planes, all this stuff. They're supposed to do an 8-month mission. So they say. They didn't say they were going looking for the Nazi regime, but that's what they were doing, okay? Right after World War II. They actually got Admiral Byrd to go on that mission because he had been there.
Mm-hmm.
They go down there. 4 weeks later, they retreat and almost all of the military died. Get killed in battle. What battle? What happened?
That's weird. Super weird.
Who killed them? What battle did they go through? And why did they need to retreat?
That's crazy.
Either one of two things. The people that live there are protecting it, or like maybe Hitler and his regime were down there and they, maybe there wasn't a hollow earth and they had a base and they destroyed. Or maybe they were living in there, but interesting weirdness. So they say that, the hollow earth, it could be filled with Nazis, tall 15-foot beings, and reptilians. We don't know because nobody's allowed to go there or explore it.
Yeah, but I mean that's exactly what Avatar is.
Yeah.
Oh, you think there's like a bioluminescent thing?
Well, you know what's interesting? So back in let me get my date straight. I think it was 1642. Woolwich, England. I told you a story? Okay, so you guys can look it up. Woolwich, England. Their logo for their town is still a little girl and a little boy, and it says Woolwich. And if you look at the children of Woolwich, and there's even a Wikipedia on them, and there are these two kids that the story goes, the legend goes, they showed up at like a farm one day, and they spoke a foreign language, and they were normal in every way except they had green skin. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoke a weird language. The farmer took them in. The boy died shortly after, and the girl survived. The girl later learned English and was able to describe and said that she came from the land down under, and that her and her brother had gotten lost following some cattle from her family down a cave, and all of a sudden she was in this bright land.
I'm like, take us, like, let's go back.
That's what I'm saying. And did you know that they say that there's a few, they say that there's a few openings to the center of the earth. And so they say that there's one town, one beautiful town, it's called Argatha. And the pictures that you see of it, it looks like Avatar, or like the depictions that have been channeled of it. Then there's another town, and for anybody that's into like, kind of more like Buddhism or like really strong spirituality, there's this hidden city called Shambhala. Have you ever heard of Shambhala?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they say that Shambhala is one of the cities in the center of the earth.
Mm.
And interesting enough, they say that the Tibetan monks guard an opening that goes down to Shambhala. It's a gateway to Shambhala, to the center of the earth, to that city. Okay, so I mean, you got to think that there's got to be multiple different little cities, but there's this one city called Shambhala down there. And so, and these Tibetan monks have been sworn to secrecy to guard this opening of this cave that leads down. But the legend has it that it takes 15 days to journey from Tibet to go down to the center of the earth to get into Shambhala.
Well, yeah, I was reading like a thing about the fact to get to the middle, it's like something that said it's like 4,000 miles or whatever, and the farthest we've ever dug to get like down is only like 7.5 miles.
Yeah.
Like we haven't done nothing.
Yeah, and we've only dug in certain areas. I mean, you got to look at our landmass on the surface. Look at from the different mountain ranges to the oceans to, the deserts to the different like compositions on the top of the earth. So if you just pick some random spot and dig, 7 miles down,
not gonna find nothing.
But you don't know where you're digging and where these things are, and if it's like this inverseness of the outside of Earth on the inside of Earth, there's got to be different areas and different places.
Oh, because you could just be digging through another mountain.
Exactly.
And never find the middle. You'd be like, yeah, there's no middle because all I'm finding is dirt.
Yeah, so you got to find like the thinner spots and the thinner spots, right?
Mm.
So you get the center vortex going on like that and then going like that, but where else, if you're going like this and inverse on the inside, where else is it the thinnest or pushing out that it goes to there that the tunnel's the thinnest? So allegedly somewhere in Woolik, allegedly somewhere in Tibet. There's actually supposed to be somewhere in Missouri or Minnesota. There's one place in the United States that there's supposed to be a tunnel that goes in.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I
think it's Missouri. But where did Cristina and Jera go? I don't know. They went into that cave. I don't know where. They haven't come out yet. I think they're probably dead.
It's been 3 weeks.
But, what if this is true? What if there are we haven't even scratched the surface of the ocean, for goodness sakes.
I know, right?
We've just studied 5% of the ocean. So how do we expect, just a few years ago, and this gives me kind of like consideration for the thought that maybe this could have some realness. Okay, so there's this cave in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest cave that exists that they've discovered so far in Earth. And inside of this cave is a tropical jungle. 14 stories down.
It's possible.
And there's monkeys that live down there. There's all these big trees. It's beautiful. And so, granted, there's like this light hole that allows light to come into this cave, but still, like, it's like a tropical jungle.
Well, that makes sense because there's that other thing that there's like water and then there's like that deeper water. I can't think of the name of what, like there's like oceans in the ocean or like lakes in the ocean even where the water density just completely changes too.
Yeah.
They did that whole thing about that movie with the giant shark coming out of it. It could be real.
I don't know about that. I haven't seen this movie with the giant shark coming out of it. Now that people are really thinking we're kookadoos. Like, oh yeah, there's a shark that comes out of the ocean that's within the ocean that, you know?
It just lives in a different temperature. No, that was like that's not based in facts though. I don't think so. I haven't researched. But like, there's just like more, just because you think that like, oh, because there's a lake, there can't be this other thing beneath it.
Yeah.
Because they keep finding stuff like that. Yeah,
in different rivers, within mountain ranges, within deep sea, these caves that go deeper and deeper with these different, but there's so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, if you go back and you like look at like pictures of Earth from satellite visions.
Yeah.
They either have like this fake cloud over the top,
and
everything else is clear. And then there's this white thing.
We've never shot on a clear day, apparently. Never. That's impossible. That's impossible.
And then why is everywhere else fine? Little cloud there. Come on. And then there are some pictures that, whether they're fully real or not, that are allegedly from NASA that show like these darker regions on the North and the South Pole, which look like holes. And same thing for other planets, because it would be true that all of the planets would have the same compositions as far as like the ability to have that hollowness. They'd either be all solid or they'd all be all hollow in the same way.
That's
right?
why we can't find life on them, because it's in the middle. There's life everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, there's just dead rocks everywhere.
Yeah, maybe they're
protected from the atmosphere and the inside atmosphere.
Right?
Yeah. Possible.
Very possible. But no, if you look at some of the different, but each of the planets, if you look at their magnetic force field around the planets and their like different atmospheres, they all do this Torus energy field. It's very interesting. And where those center points are on their poles, on their axis. And they all have an axis and a pole, like, and they're shifted different regions or whatever. But why do they all have a north and a south pole, right? And then they have the energy vortex that goes around it. So what's happening on these two regions? And there's been different satellite pictures from different planets that look like those two regions are dark. Like they're holes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm 100% sold in the hollow earth theory. I'm just saying I'm playing with the curiosity that it's very suspicious, that we're not allowed, and there's a hell of a lot more than we don't know.
Yeah, of course. I think the fact that like you're not allowed to go there means there's something. Right? You know what I mean? Like it just means there's something. It's not like that it has to be this huge, maybe it's these divots. Who knows? Like,
or maybe it's the lost city of Atlantis that they don't want anybody to find, like with the pyramids and things like that. Because then, what else it's going to do? That's going to destroy belief systems, because it's going to date the human population far dated back than in many of the different religious scriptures.
Oh.
Not that the Sumerian texts didn't already do that.
Yeah.
Those all predate the Bible and the Quran and the Old Testament. The Sumerian texts are way older. And the Sumerian texts are the precursors for a lot of the stories, that are in the Bible or the different things. And so you already have that. And you have that kind of being covered up a little bit where people aren't talking about it because, that means, it says there, the Anunnaki created us. Like, alien or beings from above came down and made us to mine for gold. It's written in a fucking clay text, how much clearer can you be? It took 9 tries to make humans. It even wrote all the mistakes. It wrote that the last try before they got it right, humans were infertile, and they could, or infertile or whatever. They couldn't have babies, and so they had to make another one. And then, interesting enough, they don't say that they just made an Adam and an Eve. They said that they made 7 men and 7 women.
Makes more sense.
Makes a lot more sense to the genome and the diversity of humans. But those are very specific things. And so what other texts and tablets and what other things are they going to uncover in these pyramids that haven't been touched? right? What type of fossils of beings are they going to find? Are they going to find some skeletons of, some 30-foot Goliath the giants down there? Because my theory is that Antarctica froze really fast.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
I think that it was a massive pole shift.
Oh, when the poles do the switch?
Yeah, when the magnetic field goes every roughly 3,000 some years or whatever, it goes floop, and it switches. The North Pole becomes the South Pole becomes North Pole, and it shuffles everything around, creates all this disruption, right? Mm-hmm. So
possible? Yes. Everything's possible. Everything's possible. And they found
a little woolly mammoth, little baby guy, and he had vegetation in his stomach, and he was frozen to death, and he just ate lunch. He had grass in his stomach. Okay, frozen to death, skin on all. How did the guy, clearly he was walking and ate some grass and just got flash frozen? Look it up. It's a cute little guy. He's like a little frozen woolly mammoth. He's a baby, but he got frozen and he had vegetation in his stomach. How'd that happen? It had to happen like that.
Oh yeah, that's like all the natural disaster stuff's happening now. It's just stuff's happening, stuff happens. You know what I mean? The ice. We've not seen anybody get iced.
No, but Pompeii got people frozen. I mean, it's ash to death. You sure that somebody breastfeeding their baby, and they're petrified with the volcanic ash. I mean, things happen. We think that we're so immune. That's just one thing, you guys, I hope that you get that are watching is stop taking it so seriously. Literally, the poles could shift tomorrow and we could all be frozen. Well, they said that they're about to flip.
How close? How close are we to the flip?
Probably within our lifetime, we're going to experience the flip.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But I'm going to have a long lifetime. Working on a long one.
Get on top of a mountain range and meditate.
Buy a bunch of hand warmers.
Yeah.
Fill the apartment up.
Just get a little helicopter and hovercraft for a little bit until the continents, and then go.
Oh, I'll just buy a ticket on Elon's space shuttle. What day is it leaving?
Come back, poles, everything's changed around. We can go and live in Atlantis again, because it'll be the thought, and it'll be this beautiful tropical paradise with all these ancient ruins, and we'll be look at this cool city they built.
Maybe he does know. He does know something, right? Because he is planning on going to space, hanging out, but there's nothing really in space, and then coming back down. You know what I mean? He's crazy, but he could be onto something, because he's changed the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's I don't know where things are going to go, but I mean, we'll research a little bit more on the pole shift. That's going to be another episode, but it's happening. Things are happening. Things are changing. And it's, there's a lot of evidence to say that it's coming soon.
I guess it doesn't matter. It'll just be like that.
Well, I mean, if you truly believe that our souls are eternal, then, will we just come back again as another being?
I know, but I got such a good start.
It's you're ahead of the race. Da, 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 da. Could you imagine if we just got frozen? Oh, God. I guess all those people in Pompeii didn't think that the ash was going to freeze.
They're going to suffocate to death.
Instantaneously, too.
Oof.
Has anybody ever look at the Pompeii, I don't know, would you call them fossils of people that are just mummified?
They're just bodies. That's what we asked. We're where are the bodies? And they were oh, go this way. Where's all the dead bodies? That's what we asked to find them.
I know, but they're right in the middle. Like somebody's like making a clay pot and they're like in the middle of making the clay pot and they're gone. Like, that's not like you think. You're hearing an eruption and stuff like that. You run, you do something, you pull your baby off your breast. Like, I mean, like, but this is like some
What do you do when an earthquake happens here? What do you do? Do you start backing up? Or are you like, oh, hope nothing's happening?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think I just be making my pottery. I mean, like, the ash, I mean, you don't even set the baby down. You don't, like, take your hands off the pottery and just, like, freeze? I mean, like, ashify to death?
I freeze. The last big earthquake, I was like, and just stood there and waited for it to be over because I thought the building was going down. And then like grabbed my dog and I was like,
Okay, so you're going to be one of the people that are going to be frozen in an interesting pose for the future civilization.
holding my dog. They're like, oh, I love this one. Let me get a photo for my Instagram.
It'll be called something else at that time. Instagram will be gone. It'll be like how MySpace disappeared. It'll be like it's some new technology. We get a photo of this one. At least you'll live on forever.
Hey!
You'll become Instagram famous.
Careful what you wish for.
Instagram famous.
See, that's why you have to be very specific about what you ask the universe for, because she's got a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. You never know. Oh, yeah. Imagine if, like, we're sitting here wishing to go to Argatha, and we get down there, and it's like a Nazi-run, like, civilization ran by, like, reptilian, like, aliens, and it's like, we become their, like, slaves, and we're like, we wanted to be down here.
And you're like, I can't go back for my dog.
And they're like, I'm gonna eat you, flesh blood. I mean, you don't know. You know, there could be a good and a bad and an ugly and a great, you know, to everything.
Yep.
But
they're like, that side's paradise. This side is not. We don't go to that side. They'll learn.
it's like you should have entered in
you know,
Tibet.
like you go to the ghetto instead of like the nice neighborhood.
Yeah. We should have went in through Tibet. We tried to go in through Antarctica. That was, you know.
We went through Minnesota. Michigan or wherever you said.
Yeah. we ended up in the bad one.
That's why nobody was guarding this cave.
The regime of President Trump. All right. So, anything else you want to add on this? I think we went down the rabbit hole a lot.
Mm-hmm. Just keep your mind open. You don't have to like believe everything, but just be open to the fact that things could be different than you think they are.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, you don't even know whether this is real. We're just feeling this is real, but there's more space here than matter. What's tripped me out, I think I might have told you this before, like, but in quantum physics, they've measured the mass of humanity. So all humans,
okay,
7.6 million that are now, because there's way more than 7.2 now. But if they took the mass of all humans, not one human, all humans, and took the actual physical mass, guess how much surface area that is?
10,000 square miles. I don't know what I'm guessing.
The whole humanity's physical mass would fit into a sugar cube.
Oh, that's what I was going to say about the hollow earth. Is it looks kind of like when they show the pictures of like the middle, it looks like your eye.
Oh yeah, going in.
So we could just be, our planet could be an eye.
I mean, our cells could be our whole like world. I mean, you got the mitochondria, could be our sun. And then you have all these other little cells floating around.
God, a sugar cube though? That's crazy. So, because everything's space, right? Are you the one that told me that? Who told me that?
Everything is space. So sugar cube. I mean, think about it.
Like,
I mean,
what?
This doesn't exist. I mean, that's why I think like those really amazing people that have trained themselves really good with martial arts, they go through those big things and go, boom! You ask them how they do it. They say they see their hand going through. They don't see the objects actually there. Do you know that's part of the training? See your hand going through. And in that moment, there is no mass there because it actually doesn't exist. And their hand is fine. And they go through bricks, they go through logs, they go through, 12 2x4s. I mean, check out some of those videos. Like,
I've definitely watched those videos.
And they say,
nope,
nothing there. Nope.
Something there.
And it's a discipline of the mind, believing that there's nothing there and they can literally part the space, which goes into, the slit experiment. You've heard of the slit experiment, right? So the slit experiment is one of the most famous quantum physics experiments, and it's the eye of the observer and how the particles actually change. And so when they're measuring the subatomic particles and they're firing them through an atomic gun and it's going through, there's a split. So there's two holes, right? So the hole where my finger is, hole here. And you would think when they hit the backdrop that where they would land would be through the slits. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if there's two little slits and they hit the back surface, it's going to form a line in the two slits, right? Well, interesting enough, when they watch, that's what happens. When they don't watch, it goes everywhere. And it baffles, and that's the eye of the observer. So check out the slit experiment, quantum physics split experiment. There you go. Thank you for helping me. But check that out because that's like the famous experiment. And so by just watching, the particles don't make two lines where the space is on the backdrop. They actually form this like wave type of where they hit all over, and it makes absolutely no sense. And it proves that quantum physics that every particle is in every location at every time. I leave you with that. Mouth dropped. We fit in a sugar cube and cut. If you enjoyed this conversation, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want some more amazing resources on your path of liberation, head over to liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram at Liberate Hollywood, all one word, or Liberate Emporium, all one word. Until next time, liberate yourself. If you're thinking that you want to take that action step, why wait? Book your session right now. Go to liberateyourself.com, click on either Liberate Hollywood or Liberate Emporium, see our amazing practitioners and who resonates most with you. And then book a session via Skype, phone, or in person. We're here for you, and it's your time to start creating your life.